Talk to me, Poppy. Tell me why Austin McBroom is more dangerous for Gib in this rematch. I want to know, because Gib, oh my God, Gib looked like that buff kangaroo off of the one movie. Oh my God, what movie was that? Where the kangaroo had like the jacket and he was like a hip, a hop, a hippie to the, you know what I'm talking about? Come on, man.
Okay, so we are back, and today's video is a fight I haven't covered yet. I'm not really sure why, but one that I'm super interested in. And just like I need to take a drink of this water right now because I sound like an
old decrepit man with gravels in my throat.
I am thirsty for an Austin McBroom and Gib rematch. Guys, this fight in the Kingpin tournament is one that we could potentially have seen as a finals matchup, and we're getting it in the first round. And if you know anything about combat sports, rematches tend to go one of two ways. Either the winner of the first one gets better and makes it even less competitive, or the loser comes back with something to prove and shocks everyone. But that second part, that loser coming back and...
Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way, bro. Because usually, right? Usually, we would have saw Gib partying it up, living life, doing whatever he wants. Gib been in the lab. He ready for that boy.
Getting his redemption. Austin coming back
but
and
tell me,
fighting Gib right away again is something I think we need to talk about, because I think this fight is more competitive than the first one. I got a couple reasons that explain exactly why. So let's talk about it. Nissan Gib versus Austin McBroom is going to go one of two ways. Either Austin's chances of actually getting that win back are longer than a Nissan Gib's nose, or Austin McBroom is being slept on more than my Double King mattress behind the desk after putting Gib down in their first fight. I think I know which one it is, and I'm going to tell you why. A breakdown of a fight that in the first round could determine a potential winner of the Kingpin tournament. Let's go. Okay, Austin McBroom versus Gib. Let's, before we even get into the rematch, go back to the first fight. 5 months ago in Los Angeles in front of 5 people, Gib did beat Austin in his own backyard on his own promotion, and did so in spectacular fashion. But it wasn't without some struggles to begin with, because remember, early in that fight, Austin did have success, right? He did land one big time left hand to the body, and then landed the combination that put Gib down, the right hand and the left hook behind it. After that first round and that first knockdown, Austin's performance was pretty uninspired, like Paulie Malignaggi on commentary. I mean, the guy sounded like he was fucking asleep. But just like Austin's technique, volume, and performance, he needed to pick it up a little. And watching Gib slowly work his way back into that fight from round 2, and then really in round 3, putting on the gas and starting to put Austin down, I think it makes people forget about that first success that Austin did have and why he was successful. That's the biggest point I want to talk about.
Yeah, because I can't even lie. I definitely forgot about that. Like, I didn't forget, but I forgot how that knockdown was actually a knockdown. You know what I'm saying? I definitely, because I was looking at it as more of like he probably slipped or he got a little too hyped, walked into something, but he knew, which is why he didn't go down again. But hold on, tell me more, Weighty.
Austin successful early with Gib, and what did Gib do to stop that? A couple of things here. Austin is fast. He is a great athlete. Things that we expected in that first fight, he delivered in that first round. That was quick hand speed, athleticism, and the ability to land the shot. He did all that in the first round, but the things that Austin didn't have were consistent follow-ups, balance in his shot, the ability to follow a left hand with the hook, and remain defensively responsible. This was the biggest issue for Austin. He got himself into trouble by walking himself into shots. He was doing a great job with his jab, especially once he found what Austin was doing well, which was really just poking out the backhand. That was it. Just literally boom, over the top. Again, boom. But it wasn't thrown with any rhythm. There was technique, but at the same time, Austin loves to overthrow his left hand. He really likes to lean forward and reach for that bomb, whereas Gib would stay compact and he would stay within his stance and let his shots go with power, but ready to defend or pull back out of range in that firefight if need be. That was a consistent theme, whereas early in the fight, Austin was very athletic and very quick. He slowed down very quickly as well.
So is he saying he's making those changes?
One, Austin saying he was sick, saying he was on his deathbed, which I think he might be exaggerating just a little bit, saying he needed an IV, which again, if he was that sick, he probably should have been in the hospital, and it is illegal in the state of California to take an IV prior to combat sports competition for any other reason than your life being in danger. It could have been a combination of him being sick, but I also think that the boxing shape needed to go 6 rounds is something Austin just had never experienced before, And while, yes, his body did hold up until those later rounds, it wasn't holding up in a way that was going to be successful at any point. He was just walking around waiting to get hit in those later rounds. It was not good, and his explosivity had damn near dissipated completely. So while Austin has natural ability, he has an ability to throw out shots very quickly when he's fresh. When he's not, the technique, which is already not the greatest, breaks down fundamentally from the floor up. On Gibb's side, there really is the theory of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I want to talk about what Gibb could do differently here in this rematch. It's maybe not get caught off guard to start the fight. Maybe be switched on more. And now knowing what Austin's big punches are, can set up counters off the straight left hand, moving his head off the center line, rolling under the hook, working the body that Austin still seems to have issues protecting as well. So like I said, it's not really much different you have to be if you're Gibb. Just be in great shape, ready to potentially, like I said in the beginning of this video, win the rematch in better and more impressive fashion than the first one. But Austin, I do think, has a shot here, and that's because of his natural athleticism and his aptitude for sports. Say what you will about athletes not being able to transition to different sports, and no, it doesn't always work the same when one guy is a boxer that goes to a different sport or a different sportsman coming to boxing. They don't pick it up necessarily just right off the bat. Some guys do though, and Austin was one of those guys, and his ability to pick it up quickly shows me that his muscle memory and his ability to adapt to different sports is on a higher level, and means that he can replicate that with more time given, right? That is where the issue comes in, because I don't think Austin in that first fight was as dedicated for as long as Gibb was. It just wasn't possible. Gibb continues to train this sport. He continues to dedicate himself. The question is, will Austin, and has Austin done the same? My answer, I think, for this second fight is yes, because Austin, especially this time around, has been super quiet on his social medias. I reached out for an interview.
I feel like this is my thought on it, right? It all doesn't make sense to me because I haven't seen nothing. Like, all I've seen is he still looks almost the same. Like, if anything, he lost like a tiny bit of weight. But like, I'm seeing, bro, like if we're putting it like that, and he's saying like, oh, Austin might be able to fucking outmaneuver him, and the facts of he might be able to actually figure out and pick and fine tune things to pick Gibb apart. But Gibb's still been working. Gibb was giving him a threat then, and has consistently, you know what I'm saying, been putting in that effort to still be there. And I don't know, bro. I'm not seeing him as dangerous. What up, Kay?
Don't seem to want to do that, which is okay. I understand that. He hasn't been taking a lot of interviews. Even as recently as today, he had some family issues, at least that's what he said, and not able to do the face-to-face with Gibb. I think 100% Austin McBroom is taking the Tommy Fury versus Jake route here and not playing into emotional games, which, not saying that Gibb does that, but I'm trying to help out with that because Kingpin is trying to put on a great event, and I'm trying to help him do that, but not everyone wants to be a part of the promotion. And Austin going 0 for 2 with the promotion side on his own promotion, it makes sense that he doesn't want to go 0 for 3 and say something that could be used against him if he should lose to Gibb again. But I think this time around, for a guy that has been humbled the way Austin was humbled in that first fight, I think really dedicating himself, and yes, it's only been 5 months since they fought the first time, but that's more than enough time to recover and start to get back into training camp and start to get back into boxing shape. Just wonder if the demons are gone from here, because you hear Austin talking about he got lucky and he didn't get my best and I was on my deathbed. I don't agree with all of those statements. I can say that maybe Austin wasn't his best, but Gibb did not in any way get lucky. There was preparation, game plan, and execution, and those things are not luck. So for Austin to come back and find ways to beat Gibb, it's gonna have to be him relying on the same things on his end, not just the fact that Gibb won't get lucky again. But Austin has to believe and has to understand the man standing across from him put him down multiple times. There's no luck involved with that. There's absolute hard work and skill there, and Austin has to bring that same skill and hard work, which I think he's doing, because I've spoken to some of the people on his team. Yes, I've gotten in touch with some of the people talking about how he is not overshooting the left hand in camp. They're talking about how he's starting to be more balanced in his shots, how the things that he's throwing now are not necessarily as telling as they were, which tells me that Austin has put his head down and started to work on the fundamentals. I sense a mindset switch from him this time around, which does give me confidence to say this will be a more competitive fight, because I want to take you guys to the press conference, or at least part of it, in this trailer they did for Austin McBroom and Gibb. I just want you guys to see how Austin looks at Gibb, and while Gibb is super focused on putting him down again, in my opinion, and again, it could manifest itself in the same way we saw in the first fight, but Austin does seem a bit more locked in here, and said he wanted Gibb Now he's getting him.
Austin McBroom.
The thing is, he just hasn't really seen who I am, which is a good thing. He saw an ill, in my deathbed, Austin McBroom.
I could have postponed the fight, but I took an IV to get out there and fight you.
You cheated. He done something illegal. He injected himself before walking out. What else could he have been taken?
He was lucky that time. He won't be lucky again.
So yeah, you hear that again. He was lucky that time. You won't be lucky again. I took an IV just to go compete with you, and kept saying, well, you cheated. But again, you see Austin reconvincing himself as to how the fight will go differently based off the luck involved with the first one. I don't think that's the right mindset, but it is a bit of a mindset switch, right? From just being humbled and saying, you know what it is, I got my ass beat, whatever. I like that acceptance if I'm watching a fighter going into a rematch to say, hey, you know what? He got me in the first one, but this is why it's going to be different. Austin relying on the fact that...
No, there was no acceptance there. He literally said, he led with, I took an IV. I literally cheated. I cheated to get in the ring to fight. Like, what is he? What are we talking about?
Gibb got lucky does concern me a bit, but I want to push that to the side
what concerns me is that he led with, I took an IV.
for just a second and talk about the work, because there's something coming up here that, once again, I think is more so telling than anything else.
Time to prove yourself, but it's going the exact same route.
I'm a man on a mission. It's as simple as that. I'm a man on a mission, and I'm coming for everybody.
And Eason Gibb versus Austin McBroom. I say this is a fight that needed to be run back.
It could not get any bigger in this high-stakes tournament.
I've been working too hard, too motivated.
I hurt you with every shot.
I wish you the best of luck.
Straight.
I wish you the best of luck.
I hurt you with every shot, bro.
He's not wrong. He is not wrong. Gibb hurt him with every single shot. And while Austin is doing very much a...
Hey guys, this is me working out for the camera. Check me in my elevation mask and my zip-up half-sleeve vest that looks like it was part of a WrestleMania gimmick.
The idea of Austin
like
actually
he was going
working hard
snorkeling.
does
Like,
intrigue
the
me a
fuck is
bit.
going
Because
on?
if this guy
This nigga doesn't like he was working at all.
actually does put the time and effort in, you're talking about high-level athleticism. Stuff that can't be replicated. It can't be. So when you add the hard work to the athleticism, it will always, always push you to a higher level.
But when you're behind, it definitely ain't gonna help him catch the fuck up. Like, come on,
Those
man.
that just...
Like, if you still needed work on the last fight and the other nigga was at, like, it's gonna take a lot. Like, I'm talking about, you gotta be a whole different man. And Austin's not a whole different man at all. He's the same exact dude. There is nothing there in what I've seen from this breakdown that has shown me that Austin is a different person than he was in the first fight. At all.
work hard and maybe aren't as naturally inclined. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the case in this fight, but Austin has talent. He has physical abilities that Gibb just doesn't have or won't develop. Because yes, Gibb's a hard worker and he can learn the X's and O's and the fundamentals of boxing, and it will carry him to a certain level. But if someone works just as hard, and if they are just a little bit more athletically gifted, and they start to pick up the sport, it will uneven the balance there.
Every day, got something to prove every day.
When I beat McBroom, I'm focused to the end.
Redemption! All the people are gonna find out!
Nigga hungry.
So yeah, like I said,
They look the same, if not smaller.
this is going to be the real question we have to ask ourselves for this fight.
How he
Gibb
coming
is
in so
mentally
frail?
strong. He is physically strong. He is fundamentally a better boxer than Austin McBroom is, at least showing from their last fight. It's not even a comparison. Austin was able to keep himself in that fight for as long as he was, purely based on his athletic ability and his will, his heart. He showed some heart that night. He showed some toughness. He showed some mental ability to keep getting himself off the canvas. But can he change that? Can he change just that mentality to survive into a mentality to thrive in there with Gibb? Can he put that same mindset into effort pre-fight and show himself that he can push to a different level? Because if I was Austin McBroom that night and I kept getting up and I kept getting up and I kept getting up, even if Gibb kept putting him down, the one thing you could walk away from that fight and say is, I found out something about myself. I found out I am not a quitter. I am not willing to give up. And can Austin put that into his training? That is going to make the difference in this rematch. And that is the question that I can't answer. Do you think while Austin maybe didn't want Gibb right away because he wanted to maybe get some of that experience back, now is the time? If you're going to go ahead and do this fight, you may not have gotten it in the semifinals or the finals because who knows in a tournament format how people are going to advance, how matchups make fights. Now is the time we get to see if Austin can redeem himself, at least in the ring, because a lot of things he's got to do outside of it to redeem himself there. But can Gib, on the other side, beat Austin in the same way, or even more impressively than he already did? Because like I said, a rematch goes one of two ways. Either the winner of the first one does it even quicker, does it even better, or the loser gets his redemption. A lot of pressure.
It's an L.